A graffiti writer from Portland, known as Gimer, was arrested after appearing in an interview for a YouTube documentary, but the documentary makers denied that they snitched. So was this a coincidence, or did they actually have anything to do with it? In this video, we'll be shedding some light on the chain of events surrounding this story. So the documentary was made in an attempt to shed some light on Portland's growing graffiti problem. In the documentary, the filmmakers interview various individuals involved in the local graffiti scene, including Gimer. He had been pretty difficult to find for an interview. As the filmmakers explain, it took months of searching to find a graffiti writer willing to participate in this documentary, because most writers avoid showing their face or didn't want to put all their own business in the streets. After about 4 months, they finally found the writer Gimer and another writer named Monk. Gimer is a graffiti writer who is not only active in Portland but in other cities as well. He accepted to be featured in the documentary and had the filmmakers come to his house. He ended up showing off his impressive stash of graffiti supplies, which included over 1,500 cans of spray paint. The authorities later valued all that to be more than $20,000, but I don't think that's accurate. His collection was also complete with all the essentials: gloves, bags, caps, stickers, you name it. In the documentary, we see Gimer in action on the streets. You can see that he carefully chooses his spots that are most visible, and of course, he was doing this graffiti late into the night. Gimer stated that he acknowledges that graffiti is illegal, and he described it as vandalism, but with an artistic twist. However, he argued that the impact of graffiti is just visual, rather than destructive. He also criticized the city of Portland for focusing on graffiti cleanup, claiming it's a distraction from bigger issues like homelessness and substance abuse. Once the documentary hit YouTube, it was only a few days until police raided the home of Gimer's accomplice and seized over 10,000 graffiti supplies. The police mentioned that they were actually searching for Gimer, and he was reportedly responsible for many of the Gimer tags around the city. The authorities collected thousands of cans of spray paint from that home, and even though Gimer wasn't there, police thought they knew the rough location of where he might be staying. They were actively pursuing him. A few months later, footage of Gimer's stash appeared on the news, and this is when viewers began questioning where the makers of the documentary, did they tip off the police? Did they have any involvement with Gimer getting into trouble? The creators of the documentary responded to this, saying that they never been contacted by the cops and had never shared their sources. They emphasized that they never revealed their contacts to anyone. Gimer managed to evade capture for almost 6 months, but in January of this year, he was arrested at his home. The police announced that Gimer had been featured in the graffiti documentary and was responsible for multiple graffiti tags around Portland. Obviously now he's facing several charges, and the Portland police has seized all of his supplies from his home. Obviously he's going to be in court, and apparently the court date is around March, but the question does remain, did the documentary help the police? According to law enforcement, the documentary on YouTube provided enough evidence for investigation, leading to Gimer's search and eventual arrest. The footage of Gimer tagging certainly didn't help his case. How the police identified his home is actually unclear. Perhaps they might have recognized him from a previous arrest or linked him to the stash through other clues. While Gimer's decision to showcase his entire collection may not have been the smartest move, it certainly made for some compelling footage. That being said, it's still uncertain how much the documentary actually influenced the investigation. Reading some of the comments below the documentary gives you more insight of the situation and what people think of it, with the channel itself that posted the video chiming in on the pinned comment. We have not been questioned by law enforcement. We may look a little different than the news reporters you're used to, but we hold ourselves to journalistic standards. We do not reveal sources to anyone more soon. Other comments like, this documentary resulted in Gimer having charges pressed against him. They were also able to find his stash full of spray paint. And another person saying, damn, you got Gimer caught up. No more graffiti artists are going to be doing stuff with y'all anymore. Obviously, the filmmakers of the documentary denied that they shared anything with the cops. The filmmakers are also safe under the journalist laws that have been put in place, because for documentation in the US, covered by reporter's privilege, which is in most states, meaning they are exempt from having to report, witnessing or documenting crimes unless called upon to testify as part of a grand jury. Police are allowed to ask anyone questions at any time, but no one is compelled to say anything to the police. Since simply witnessing or documenting documenting a crime is not a crime itself. The reporter can't be held. So simply conducting an interview, even one in which a person claims to have committed a crime, is not a criminal act in any way. So the filmmakers of this documentary had no point to share information about Gimer or anyone featured in the documentary. It may have just been a coincidence in that respect. If you really think about it, the police already had this guy on file and basically used the documentary to get approval to pursue him. And that's all it really boiled down to. So some people could say that the documentary was the reason he got caught, but not in the way people think. Personally, I think we should cut CHAOSTOWN a bit of slack. Because if it was all officially done and they got Gimer to sign a waiver, it's not really their fault since Gimer agreed to be in the documentary. And seeing as the channel only has 10 videos, with most of those 10 videos being proper documentary length videos, you'll come to find that CHAOSTOWN isn't really in the wrong. Which also probably explains why the video hasn't been deleted, and is also why the video is their most viewed video. If they were generally in the wrong, you'd think that they would delete the video entirely, but it's still there to watch. Go ahead and watch it. Link is in the description below. This is not an ad or anything like that, but since I made a video out of this, I figured, I'd better give them a bit of a shout out, because I personally don't think they snitched, but obviously it's the internet, everything up for interpretation. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and have a good one.